Hi, I'm Alan Stein. I am the founder, the CEO, and chief accelerator of Kadima Careers. And I'm going to help you land a great job in 6 months or less. And not just any great job, a great job at some of the world's best tech companies like Google and Amazon and Apple and Salesforce and Microsoft. So if you're interested in hearing more, tune in now and we'll show you how it's done. Hello, welcome to our masterclass here on how to get the best job you've ever had in less than 6 months. So I'm going to share with you exactly how the recruiting process works and how you can get an awesome job. So let me go to the next slide. There is a saying in the tech world, TLDR, too long didn't read. This is actually a shirt that one of my former employees created for me. If you don't have time to stay through this whole webinar or you just want to know what we're going to be sharing with you, here's what we're going to be sharing. One, I'm going to be sharing the proven method that I've used and that you can learn to get you the best job of your life quickly, confidently, and with lots more money. Secondly, I promise you that I am not selling anything to you for most of this webinar. At the end, I will share with you a little bit about our services, but I will give you the warning so that you can depart. No harm, no foul. Third, I'm going to share a little bit about a quick intro about me and why I know what I'm talking about. Fourth, I'm going to talk a lot more in depth about how recruiting really works and why you need to know about how recruiting really works at tech companies and at some of the best companies in the world. Fifth, I'll show you what you can do now and how to implement a framework that will get you a great job. And then finally, as I said, at the end, I will share with you how Kadima can help. And again, there will be a warning there. You can drop, and that is fine. My gift to you is the information and also sharing a little bit of insight. Next up, so an important concept to understand is career acceleration, growing your career. People are not born with that. This is a skill that can be learned. So relating back to a story from my childhood, when I first took the SATs, I got really poor scores in SATs. For those of you that are potentially around the world, SATs are the standardized aptitude test. It's a test given to US college-bound students. And the first time I took that test, I did really poorly in English, which is my first language, by the way. And I got in the 42nd percentile of all test takers. Well, not only was I a little upset with that, but my mom was distraught, and she immediately made sure that I had the support and the training to improve on the SATs. And I was able to increase my SAT scores from the 42nd percentile to the 92nd percentile. And I'm not telling you that to brag, but I am telling you that a lot of things are learnable. And just like that, getting great jobs is something that I was not born with. It is something that I learned. And there's this book called Mindset by Carol Dweck, which talks about the growth mindset. And I am working with the presumption that you can learn this skill. And I'm going to be teaching you exactly how to get a great job quickly, efficiently, and with more money than you've ever had. Next up, a little bit about me and why I know a little bit about what I'm talking about. So on this slide here, you see that I happen to be in the top 1% of individuals of interviewing people. So I have not been a recruiter, but I've been a hiring manager. And a hiring manager is the key decision maker that decides who is joining that team and who is joining that company. I've interviewed thousands of people. I've looked at 10,000 resumes. I've hired hundreds at some top companies. So I have seen it from the inside. Secondly, I've seen it from the outside. So I have interviewed at so many companies. I believe that I've interviewed at over 1,000 companies. I don't have good records of that, but I know for a fact that I have worked for 21 companies. I have held 29 jobs, and I've turned down probably double that amount of opportunities. So I've gotten lots of opportunity, got a lot of interviews, and understand how that process works. Third, before I started this company, Kadima, I wanted to make sure that I understood how job acquisition works. And what I did is I applied to lots of jobs. I was actually, for part of that, I was looking to actually get a job. But then about 25% of the way through that process, I realized I'm not going to get another corporate job. But I kept interviewing to do research, understand how interviews work. And I interviewed at places like Adobe and Microsoft and Stripe and Amazon and Salesforce and companies like that. So I've done lots of research and I understand how the interviewing process works. And then finally, I've been fortunate enough to have some education and privilege. I was able to get into Columbia Business School, again, because I studied for that and I increased my GMAT score from a 650 to a 730 from learning and growing because everything is learnable. And I learned a lot about how the top business schools prepare their students to get into the world's best companies. So I learned that from my time at Columbia. I've applied that myself. And secondarily, I also was in a PhD program for clinical psychology, which really informs my insight and knowledge about how the interview process works, how the mind of the recruiter and the hiring manager works. And this has all informed me to help support you and give you some insight. So something else I want to share outside of my other qualifications is that accelerating people's careers isn't just my way to earn some extra coin, it's my mission. Somewhere along the way, as I began to help friends and family members get into great companies and open doors that were previously closed to them, I became obsessed with this. I recognize that job search is confusing for many and a real systemic problem in the world. So I started Kadima Careers to give people the tools and the insights to confidently take control of their professional destiny. That's really what it's all about. You can see some of the results I've helped people get here on the screen. You can see that people who work with us increase their average annual compensation by nearly $110,000. And all of the work with our clients is built upon the proven system that I'm going to share with you shortly. So besides the numbers that we've delivered with Kadima, we have some real life examples of people that we've helped. And there's 4 people on this slide here that I'd like to share some stories with. Harold, he reached out to me while I was still working at Salesforce. I was working at Kadima as well, and he was asking me, how do I get into Salesforce? I told him, I gave him some advice on how to do that, but I also gave him the advice of don't put all your eggs in one basket and look at other opportunities. He followed that advice. He landed opportunity at Amazon, and he is now an account executive there at Amazon. Anielle, another great success story. She started working with me while she was a consultant at a second-tier consulting company based in Massachusetts. She had her goal set on getting into a FANG, and through our program, she was able to get interviews at places like TikTok and Google and Meta, and she eventually got an offer at Meta, making $80,000 more than she was previously in Texas, which is a tax-free state. So they relocated her and her husband to Texas, and she no longer pays state income tax. Brittany, fantastic story here. She started working with me while she was at Georgia Pacific. She was making well under 6 figures. She wanted to work in tech. Within 3 months, she got a job at the company called Supernatural, a virtual reality company that was being acquired by Meta. Once she updated her profile there, then all of a sudden Apple became interested. She began interviewing with Apple. And then 3 months after that, she is now making 2.2 times the amount that she was before working at Apple, a company that she was really excited about. And then an anonymous person here, he doesn't want me to use his name. I worked with him to move from Genpact as a consultant. And then within 3 months, he got a great job at Microsoft as a program manager. He updated his LinkedIn profile. Google reached out to him. He was a little hesitant. He's like, well, I just got this job at Microsoft. I told him, hey, listen, see where this goes. And he was able to land an amazing job at Google, where he is making nearly $700,000 per year as a product manager, one of the most attractive roles in all of tech. So this stuff does work. And just sharing some stories there to whet your appetite for what's to come. Next up, why do I focus on tech? So I talk a lot in this presentation about tech, and I'll share why. The reason why I focus on tech is that these companies are some of the most respected companies in employee surveys. If you look in Glassdoor, if you look on the Fortune top 100 companies to work for, if you look on LinkedIn's top 50 companies to work for, these companies are always at the top of the list. Secondly, these companies treat employees really well. I've got massages, I've got free food, I got great benefits at these companies. These companies pay people really well, and I will share with you some details there. These companies, even though they're reducing the hiring now, still have extremely profitable business models, and companies that have profitable business models pay and treat their employees better. And then finally, something that I'm personally passionate about and that we work with at Kadima is to help underrepresented, underestimated people really accelerate their career. These companies are all talking a big game about diversity, and they actually do want to help. They're not doing as good of a job as they can, but these companies are trying, and we are helped to get people in front of those companies prepared so that these companies can start walk the talk that they're busy talking about all day. There are 2 main things I want to emphasize on this slide here. One is I made a huge leap in income going from American Express to Google, up $62,000 or a 37% increase in my compensation. My successful clients have found this same thing to be true when they jumped into big tech from startups or Fortune 500s. Tech companies just have more money to work with, and they're more generous than lots of the more mature legacy companies who tend to have stodgy limits on raises and salaries. Number two, I want to emphasize that I changed companies quite a bit in between my stay at Google in 2011 and my last year at Salesforce in 2021. You don't have to do the same, but if you want to maximize your compensation, it's generally easier to do that at a new company than by trying to earn yearly merit increases at a single company. But that's a topic for another time that I'm not going to cover too in depth here today. So we just talked about how I accelerated my compensation by jumping into tech, but this isn't really about me. I've made my money. I've done this already. So now let's imagine it's you. What I have on the screen is a fictional example where we're going to assume that you're making $100,000 a year. I don't know if everyone listening to this is making 100K right now, but many of you probably are. And it's just a nice round number to illustrate what's possible. So let's say you're making $100,000 today outside of big tech. Maybe you're at a startup or a Fortune 500 company or wherever it is you work. If your compensation rises at an annual clip of 8% compound annual growth rate, which is fairly standard outside of fast growing companies, then 10 years from now, you'll be making around $216,000 in 2032. That's not too bad by any means. Maybe you're sitting there thinking, hell, I'll sign up for $216,000 a decade from now. I get that 100%. And I'm not throwing stones at that number, but look at what could happen if you jump to a big tech firm instead of staying at your current path. In that scenario, your compensation could jump instantly in the new role. Then your compensation rate of growth will accelerate. So let's say it goes to 13%, which was my result. Now that might not sound like a massive jump between the 8% and 13%. And you might hear those numbers and go, okay, yeah, and so what? Well, I'll tell you what the so what is. Instead of earning $216,000 in 10 years, you'd be making around $451,000. That's more than double the current trajectory outside of a big tech or a high growth organization. And over the course of the decade, you can earn $1.2 million more. That's money that can go into your retirement funds, your kids' college tuition, your education, that amazing trip to Bali that you've been dreaming for. However you want to use that money, it's up to you. And as I'm going to show you next, these type of numbers are not pie in the sky fantasies. They're very realistic financial targets for employees in the tech space and these high growth organizations. So here's the data. The big tech companies flat out pay people better than Fortune 500s and startups do. I'm emphasizing this because it's literally the foundation of my entire system. In order to get paid what you deserve, you need to set your sights on those companies that can make your dreams a reality. What I share in the next several slides will work to help you get a job at a non-tech company as well, or at most startups, but you'll almost certainly make less money and have less growth potential than you would have if you applied this system within the world of big tech and fast-growing organizations. So let me share a little bit more about this. When I talked on the previous slide about the median pay, the median compensation, that is what 50% of people make at the organization. So let's look at Google, for instance. Google, if you go back to the previous slide, you saw the median compensation is $296,000. Google has 174,000 employees as of the last quarter. That means that more than 87,000 employees, more than can fit in MetLife Stadium, the home of the New York Giants, a football team that I happen to follow. More than 87,000 people are earning nearly $300,000. And right now, there are over 2,000 roles right now that are open at Google. So if we just assume something conservatively, that only 25% of those roles are getting paid above the mean. So let's just pretend that 500 of those roles, out of those 2,000 plus roles, are earning north of $296,000. That means that there is a payoff. There are these lottery tickets out there for you to win for these ridiculously well-paying jobs at these companies. And this is just Google. There's lots of other companies to focus on, but this is just one example. And let me point out, by the way, that you don't actually need to have tech skills to work in tech. Now, of course, if you do happen to be an engineer, obviously that opens up a lot of opportunities for you. But the fact is about 2/3 of all roles at established tech firms are non-technical in nature. That means if you're a project manager, a program manager, an operations professional, a marketer, a salesperson, someone in HR, or someone with a product background, you can find a great paying role in big tech with these same skills that you're using today. That's why I talk about getting a job in tech as opposed to a tech job. And I really want people to understand, whether they end up working with me or not, that big tech is a place where you can thrive, where you can earn more money, work on cool projects, and change your life for the better, even if you're not an engineer and don't know how to code. So don't rule yourself out because you don't have tech skills or a tech background. That's not necessary. And remember, I'm living proof. I didn't have a tech background when I got into Google. You don't have to have one either. And hell, my SEO, my search engine optimization sucks. I'm paying people for help with my LinkedIn ads, and I'm still trying to figure out how to manage my own website. And despite my time at Salesforce, I'm not even using their products because I don't understand how to use them. I'm rather paying experts to help me scale my CRM, my customer relationship management software, using HubSpot. So you don't need to be so technical. So let me share this with you too. So while I do highly encourage people to look at tech, and I do strongly believe in this quote from Norman Vincent Peale, to shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, you'll land amongst the stars. So I highly encourage people to aim high, aim for those fangs, aim for those top companies. And you know what? If you aim high, you will land amongst the stars. I've seen it happen numerous times. So that's why my system is built on aiming high, setting your goals high, focusing on getting into those top companies. And if you don't, you'll end up at some pretty sweet organizations as well, which will help you out and could potentially be a stepping stone into your next role. So I just told you why you should focus on careers in the tech industry. Now I'm going to tell you why now is the right time to accelerate your career. There's a Chinese proverb that says the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. Well, I have a Brooklyn proverb that says the best time to look for a job was 6 months ago. The second best time is now. And I say that because it takes generally 3 to 6 months to find a job. So the sooner you get started, the sooner you will land that great job. But before we talk further about why now is the right time, let me address the elephant in the room. Now, one quick point before we continue. I want to be real with you and acknowledge that yes, times are tough right now. Stripe recently laid off more than 1,000 employees, although at least their CEO, Patrick Collison, did it compassionately. Twitter laid off 50% of its workforce in what I consider to be a very rash move by Elon Musk. A few days later, Meta announced an even bigger layoff of 11,000 people in total. So if you're concerned by these developments or it's putting a damper on your drive to accelerate your career, let me say this. I've been there before. I've been laid off or let go 5 times in my career. When I was in venture capital, when I worked in Google, when I worked at Facebook, when I worked at Salesforce, and when I was VP of Ops at a startup called Andela. Each of those times I was either laid off or let go of for ruffling some feathers, which is a trait of mine because hypocrisy drives me nuts and I can't stay silent in the face of it. And I've been in the room where these sometimes capricious decisions are made. I was there at Amex, I was there at Salesforce, I was there at Google. And what I want you to try to avoid doing is getting mired in a woe is me mentality that's easy to fall into. It sucks getting let go. It's a hit to your pride, it's a hit to your pocketbook, but you can get back up. In this presentation, I want to give you the tools to take control of your career so that even if adversity comes your way, you're equipped to pivot and you're confident in your ability to steer your career. Let me share this as well. In talking about adversity, be prepared. It can arrive at your footsteps at any time. What you see on this screen here is an actual Google offer letter. This language is not unique to Google. Every contract has this language where it says that you are employed at will, which essentially means that the company can fire you for any reason at any time at their will. It also means that you can leave at any time for any reason at your will. So realize that you are not necessarily safe staying where you are. You need to be prepared that at any point, your company can decide to axe you. So be prepared for that. So you can fret about layoffs. You can complain about the biases in the recruiting process. You can feel sorry for yourself after losing out on roles that you are a perfect fit for, or you can focus at the task at hand, getting a better job. Assuming that you're now convinced that this is the time to be looking for your next role, I'll now share with you exactly how big tech companies really recruit and hire employees. Once you grasp this, you can systematically structure your actions in a way that optimize each step of the process until you start getting job offers that amaze you. Again, I've done this many, many times from both the inside and outside, so pay close attention. These are the actual hiring dynamics and insights that you need to understand. And while I'm discussing big tech recruiting methods, it applies to virtually every highly attractive company that generates lots of candidate interest. Kadima clients have recently landed amazing roles at Johnson & Johnson, Unilever, Morningstar, Societe Generale, Allstate, and several other attractive startups. And the process is essentially the same. So this slide is showing you the three primary ways that people are considered to get a job. One, you can apply coldly. You can submit your application and you go into this big sea of other applications. There's lots of volume there, very low hit rate, but you can increase your chances if you apply at the right place, for the right time, for the right roles. Secondly, you can be recruited. Maybe someone reaches out to you on LinkedIn. Maybe someone reaches out to you via email. You might be recruited by either a headhunter or a company that has identified you. Usually that will occur if you've worked at good companies before, if you have good titles, if you've gone to good schools. Or the third way is through referrals. And referrals has the lowest volume of applicants. Only 7% of applicants come in through the referral path, but 40% of hires come through the referral channel. And for myself personally, 24 out of the 29 jobs that I've had in my career, a door was opened for me because of who I knew and not necessarily what I knew. Yeah, I still had to interview for it, but that first door, that introduction, was from a referral. So those are the three different ways that you can get into the recruiting funnel, the job acquisition funnel. Once you're into the job acquisition funnel, you are competing at the top of it with thousands of people that are submitting applications. And I know this for a fact. When I posted these roles at these very selective companies, very attractive companies, within a week, we would have about 100 applicants. Within 2 or 3 weeks, we would have hundreds, if not thousands of applicants. Then a recruiter is going through those applicants, maybe filtering it slightly by company or role or title or things like that, and narrowing it down to hundreds that they will manually look at. The recruiter will manually look at those and decide who to reach out to. That recruiter will next reach out to you, and you get all excited. You're like, ooh, Amazon is calling me. They're interested in me. Yeah, they're talking to you and about 19 other candidates. The recruiter is looking to find some candidates to pass on to the hiring manager. If you get to that stage, you move on to the hiring manager. You're super excited. You're talking to the hiring manager, but the hiring manager is also speaking to 5 to 10 other people to figure out who is the right fit for that specific role that's opened. Get past that stage, then you get to the interview loops or the on-sites. That's awesome. You're super excited. You're like, this company must really like me. They're inviting me on site or they're flying me out somewhere, and they're doing that with 3 to 5 other people. If you're fortunate, if you interviewed well, if you are the best person in that competitive set at the end, you will be considered hireable and you will get an offer. And if you get that offer, awesome. That is when you, for the first time in this whole process, have leverage over the situation. Let's go into a little bit more depth about what recruiting looks like, about how the job acquisition process looks like. So in the first stage, you're talking to the recruiter. The recruiter is essentially assessing 2 pieces of information. Are you a good fit for the role? Do you match the qualifications? And are there any knockouts? So do you have work authorization issues? Is compensation a knockout? Is location a knockout? Are you a poor communicator that would be embarrassing if I pass you on to the hiring manager? That's what the recruiter is doing. It's usually a 30-minute conversation. They tell you about the job. They ask you a few questions, and then they decide if they're going to move you on to the next round. If you go to the next round, you get the hiring manager. These are generally 45-minute conversations, and they are assessing 2 specific things: subject matter expertise. So have you done the thing that that person is trying to hire you for? And secondly, can I manage this person? Again, this hiring manager is going to be your manager, so they want to make sure that they can manage you. The third stage, if you get past the hiring manager, is the loops or the panel interviews, or sometimes they call them on-sites. These are a series of usually 4 or 5 45-minute sessions where you will be asked a series of behavioral-based interview questions Behavioral-based interview questions are, tell me about a time when you had a difficult boss, or tell me about a time when you had to deliver a project under a tight deadline. And there are specific ways that you should respond to that using the STAR method: situation, task, action, and result. And I'm not going to go into details here because you can Google that and you can find that out, but that's essentially how you pass that stage. So within each stage of the interview, there are 4 phases where you can significantly influence the outcome. Phase number 1 is rapport building. Within that first 5 minutes, you want to make a connection with that interviewer. You want to talk about the weather, some commonality, something to build rapport, because the truth of the matter is the interviews are not an exact science, and you want to influence them. If they are liking you, they will be more positively inclined to pass you forward. So you want to build that rapport. Secondly, TMAY, tell me about yourself. This is walk me through your resume, or tell me what brought you here today, or tell me a little bit about yourself, something like that. And you need to have that down in 2 to 4 minutes. You need to have a crisp story, and you need to be able to articulate why you are a strong candidate, why you're a match for the company, and why this role. So you need to have that buttoned up. Next part, this is what scares people a lot: the questions for you, the questions that are fired at you. These are extremely predictable. You can backwards engineer these by looking at the job description and looking at interview questions about behavioral-based interview questions, but you need to be prepared with your STAR stories to answer these questions, and they're very preparable. And finally, the fourth part, questions that you have. And when you go into any interview, make sure that you have 3 questions written down. You don't need to use those 3, but make sure you have those prepared. You can ad-lib a little bit if there's something that you talked about during the interview, but make sure you have those 3 questions so that when that interviewer turns the tables and goes to you and asks you, okay, that's the end of my questions, what questions do you have for me? You better not say, I don't have any. You should come up with some good questions, and you should be prepared with those. Finally, so now that you know that's how recruiting works, I basically gave you the inside information, and that's how interviews work at Amazon. That's how interviews work at Google, Adobe, Stripe, Salesforce. That's essentially how interviews work everywhere. They're harder at Google and Amazon, but they're essentially the same format. So if you know that, here is the system that I have developed over the course of my career through my learnings from Columbia Business School, from my learnings of being on the inside of recruiting lots of people, of hiring lots of people from a candidate's perspective. These are the 6 steps that you take to accelerate your career. Number 1, establish your goals. So understand, what are your values, what's important for you, work-life balance, location, compensation. You have to care about what the company does. Define those values, and then figure out which companies will meet those values. And there are a lot of them. And you can go to kademacareers.com/top-100. You can see a list of 100 companies that we recommend, but there's plenty of lists out there. But you develop a list of target companies, and you create a list of at least 40 target companies. You could be more, but start with 40. So you identify those goals, those targets. Secondly, you need to realistically assess and leverage your strength. If you are good at sales, but you want to go into product management, who gives a flying hoot? You go into that company as a sales professional, and then you move to product afterwards. Think about it from the hiring manager's perspective. They don't want to hire based on what you want. They want to hire on what you've done. And they want to be confident that you can do the role that they are looking to hire for. So realistically assess your strengths, play to those strengths, market those strengths, and use those to get into the companies and the organizations that you want to get into. Third, this is the most important step: outreach. You need to be building outreach at those companies, at those organizations where you want to land a job. You do this through authentic and efficient and effective conversations. So you look at the companies where you want to join, and you find out if you know some people there, and you reach out to them. You may re-engage with them. Or if you don't have connections there, then you reach out through the power of LinkedIn. And there are ways to do that. You try to look for commonalities between one another. So I went to Binghamton University. If I'm trying to get into SAP and I don't know anyone at SAP, I look in LinkedIn. I look for people that went to Binghamton that are now at SAP. And I start reaching out to them saying, hey, I see that you're a Binghamton alum. I'm a Colonial myself as well. Well, actually, no, we're no longer Colonials. I am a Bearcat as well. We changed our team name, and I love to connect with Binghamton alum. And a lot of them will reply back to you. And then after you get that reply, you start asking them for opportunities to seek advice. So you want to build relationships. And through those relationships, you will earn referrals. You do not ask for referrals, you earn referrals. Next up, you work the system. And what I mean by working the system is you get applications in at those companies where you want to work for those roles where you have a strength, and you apply for those sort of roles at the companies where you want to work at the roles that match your strength and experience. And when you see a good role that match your experience, you ask yourself, do I know someone at that company that I want to reach out to? If so, yes, go reach out and seek that referral. If not, just get your application in. And speed is of an essence because all these roles are hired on rolling admissions. Fifth, you need to train and build up tenacity for interviews. So I showed you a little bit before about how to prepare for those interviews, but you also have to build up tenacity. You have to build up resilience because you will get rejected a lot. Last time I was actively interviewing for roles, I applied for 300 roles. I got 47 interviews. Those 47 interviews went to 20 final round interviews. Those 20 final round interviews resulted in 5 offers. That means of the 300 applications, I only got 5 offers. I got rejected or ghosted or ignored 295 times. And 165 of those times, I never even got a response back. So you need to let that roll off you. You need to build that tenacity up, but you need to learn and grow with each opportunity. Then finally, when you do all the right things and you get that offer and you get that opportunity, you do not want to cut your knees out from under you. You want to make sure that you earn what you deserve. And I call this high impact negotiation because once that offer is extended, you, for the first time, have leverage. You have hand, as I call it in Seinfeld. Great episode there. But you have that opportunity to negotiate. And there are tips and tactics to use that will get you significantly more money, between $5,500 and $143,000 more. That's been my experience. And couple of tips to do that is, first, never tell them what money you are seeking. Don't reveal what you want unless you're paid a shit ton of money. Unless that number is really high and you're confident that that's a high number, don't reveal your number. So when they ask you, Tamika, what sort of compensation are you seeking? Your response is, I'm going to get paid fairly and in line with the scope of the role. That will shut them up about 80% of the time. If the recruiter continues to push on you, you can say, you know what? I'm really excited to work at Salesforce. I don't think compensation is going to get in the way. And that shuts them up another 15 to 20% of the time. I very rarely heard it go to a third round. If for some reason it goes to a third round when they're inquiring about compensation and they ask about how much you want to make, you should tell them, you know what? I really am not sure how Spotify compensates their employees. Can you review that with me? Then they'll talk to you about Spotify's compensation processes and methodology. And you can say, that's interesting. Let me sit on that and get back to you with my response. And they'll say, okay. And you'll never have to get back to them. And trust me, this stuff works. So that's what you want to do. And another tip, they are not allowed, these companies are not allowed to ask what you make now. It's illegal in most states and most jurisdictions, and they will not ask that. So you do not need to reveal what you make. They will never be able to check what you make. And you do not and they are not legally allowed to ask what you make in most states, in most jurisdictions. So if you apply this framework, if you do the work, progress will occur fast and furiously. So here is a screenshot of my calendar that it was about 10 weeks after I was laid off from Facebook back in 2018. And through all those processes that I talked about reaching out to people, about having these informational interviews and building rapport. In this week alone, I had 23 meetings. I had 7 interviews. There were 4 different opportunities that I was working on. Plus, I had a couple of non-traditional sticks in the fire as well. So this led to lots of opportunity, which ultimately led to me getting a great job at Tableau during this time. But this has occurred time and time again. And not only does that work for me, but all those actions that you can control will result in the goals that you seek to achieve. So here's a story about Bharath. he was a Kadima client. He went from unemployed. Less than 3 months later, he got this job at Amazon. And about a month and a half later, he got even a better opportunity at ADP. He increased his annual comp to nearly $250,000 a year through using these methods. Let me share with you, rather than me tell you how Bharath was able to achieve this, let me have him share what he did.
Before I joined Kadima, I had reached out to what I thought was my entire network, maybe 20 people. I got to 3 final round interviews, but unfortunately didn't get any offers. Alan was a super calming and reassuring voice that taught me to believe again that I actually do have a big network. I just hadn't activated them.
So you heard from Bharath, you saw my story. If everything I just shared about the growth framework made you think, this is easier said than done, you're right. This is not a casual pursuit. We're not going to be throwing a coat of paint on your resume. My work with clients is grounded in a fundamentally more data-driven and rigorous approach to the job search. And that's really my take-home point from this entire talk. If you want a great job that pays you well and raises your potential as a candidate for bigger and better roles in the future, it's going to take more time and energy than how you've landed your previous roles. I've been told by marketers to make my system sound easy and effortless, but that's bullshit, frankly. I'm not here to sugarcoat that this is for everybody. Whether you pursue the growth framework on your own or you get coaching with me, this is going to take real work over a sustained period of time. I don't want to work with people who think this is going to be easy. I want clients who understand what lies ahead and works this system anyway because they know that even if it's hard, it will actually work. In fact, speaking of what lies ahead, let me give you a little preview. You're going to get rejected from roles that you're perfectly qualified for, and you're never going to find out why. You will have lots of conversations with people that are purely designed for you to learn and build relationships. Most of those conversations will not lead to a job offer. You'll have job interviews where you're totally bomb and embarrass yourself. Write it down. Take it to the bank. These things will happen to you. But as you gain practice in the growth framework, a transformation will take place. And like Bharath said, who went from a $160,000 job at Amazon to nearly $250,000 a year job at ADP, he said to me, you will have acquired the skill of accelerating your careers with your own actions. So this is a system that you will learn and grow with. The alternative to using the growth framework is what you see on this slide. I'm guessing some, if not all of you, are pretty familiar with these experiences. When you don't have a structured plan for your search, you become subject to the chance and chaos of the job market. You get tossed around like a piece of space debris, thrown about by solar winds. No control, no power, no agency. This is not the way to search for a new job. This is not a sophisticated career strategy. And I want you to know, regardless of what you decide to do next, that this does not have to be the way you steer the remainder of your career. You can use the growth framework to take control of how much you earn, the work you do, how high you rise in your field, and the opportunities that come your way. So we don't want any of our attendees today to wind up in a black hole. Therefore, we created this growth framework that will recap what I said in case you didn't take down arduous notes. This plan will work for those that read it and adhere to the strategies that we share openly. But sometimes people need a bit more support. I know that I did along my career. My career was accelerated due to working with 4 career coaches, 1 life coach, countless mentors, a handful of true advocates, nearly 24 informative books, and my privilege of going to a top 10 MBA program at Columbia Business School, where they are maniacally focused on training their MBAs to land lucrative jobs. So all of my insights, all of the information is totally free, totally available here. You can download it here. So now you can drop if you'd like. This is, for those that can't tell this little puzzle here, this is the beginning of the sales pitch. And on the right there is a picture of me pitching at Mets Fantasy Camp. I'm a big Mets fan. I'm not a good pitcher, but I got to pitch there, pay them enough money. They let you get on the mound there and hang out with some of the athletes there. So assuming that you're still with me, let me share how Kadima works. I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about how I can help you put the growth framework into action so that you can literally and truly get a better job within 6 months. As soon as you become a KCAP client, we first schedule your one-on-one onboarding session with me. This session allows me to help learn about and refine your goals, learn about your past job search challenges, your family situation, and other key areas that will enable me to offer you a customized plan of attack. You'll get instant access to my video-based course. It's called the Kadima Job Acquisition Method, or KJAM for short. In this course, I break down how I grew my career and compensation to more than $500,000 per year. The entire growth framework we just talked about, establishing your goals, selecting target companies, activating your network, reconnaissance and rehearsal for the interviews, maximizing your compensation and negotiations. You get detailed advice on everything with templates, scripts, and how-tos that bring it all down to earth. I advise clients to complete this online course within the first 6 weeks, but many will tear through it much faster. The sooner you learn the system, better your results will become. Completing this course alone will put you ahead of 99% of other candidates, simply by absorbing the principles and practices inside. This is the foundation of all our work together. The KGM course, sold separately, is $1,000, but it's included for you when you become a client. You'll also get to attend group coaching with me and a small number of other KCAP members. I offer 2 sessions at different times to ensure people across the globe can always find at least one slot that accommodates their schedule. At these sessions, you can ask me questions and get my guidance on the phase of the job search that you're currently in. This way, no matter what's going on in your job search, you're always just a few days away from getting my input to get unstuck and take advantage of fresh opportunities. And you begin to meet others in the Kadima community who are in the same boat as you and have proven to be immensely supportive assets. You can attend any or all of these 50 group coaching sessions that occur over the 6-month period. They're valued at $10,000 on its own. On top of the group coaching, you also get monthly one-on-one coaching sessions with me personally. And we provide you the flexibility to front load, backload, or schedule these sessions anytime through our KCAP, so we give you the flexibility. I advise you to use these dedicated sessions during pivotal moments in the job search. When you need in-depth feedback and support during these sessions, we can prep for an upcoming interview, improve your resume, nail your narrative, or anything else that you want to work on. And often I'll suggest areas of focus based on how I see that you're progressing. These monthly one-on-one sessions that you get with me are worth $3,000, and they're included when you become a client. Now, I understand full well there'll be times when you need a quick answer now. You'll have questions that can't wait for the next group coaching or that aren't a big enough deal to use one of your private coaching sessions for. Don't sweat it. As a client, you'll have virtually unlimited access to me via email. And I say virtually unlimited because it has to be within reason. I can't answer 50 questions a day, but in general, I'm super quick to reply and I have a team to support me as well. Your 6-month-long access to me via email is worth about $6,000, yours at no added charge as a KCAP client. Additionally, there's lots more to the Kadima Career Acceleration Program. I provide intros to our vast network of industry contacts. I don't give you unfettered access to my LinkedIn account, but when you are ready, I am very happy and supportive of making introductions to the right people. Secondly, we have guest speakers with illustrious big tech backgrounds, recruiters, hiring managers, people that you want to see. We invite them to speak. Third, we have what I call the Kadima Interview Treasure Trove, or what I call KIT. These are real, secretly recorded interviews that I have conducted at large companies like Adobe and Salesforce and DocuSign and Microsoft. And we have a full video series of beginning to end of the Amazon interview process. All of those inside interviews are accessible to you, where you can learn and grow and see how I actually interviewed at these companies. Fourth, we provide LinkedIn and resume feedback from FANG experts. So we will teach you how to do it on your own, but if you need added help, I will set you up with trained professionals that can help refresh that at no additional cost. We will first teach you how to do it because I fundamentally believe that understanding what's on your LinkedIn profile and resume is important. And plus, fretting over it too much is not worth your time. But if you need an extra hand, we will set you up with trained professionals that will help you do that. Fifth, I will offer personal feedback on your job interviews. So something that I teach people to do, whether you work with me or not, is to record your interviews. You do not tell the interviewer that you're recording it. Take your phone, you get a dictation app, and you click record before the conversation starts. And you listen to that interview, you listen back to that interview afterwards, and you learn and grow from listening to that and ingesting that and being self-reflective. And then sometimes people want me to sit down and review that with them too. And I will review that feedback and give you interview feedback so that you can learn and improve on your interview skills. Finally, we provide offer negotiation services. this is probably the single most tangible, valuable thing that we offer in addition to everything else. But once you get that offer, you let me know and you tell that company, thank you. I'm excited about the opportunity. Can you send the details to me in email? They will almost always do that, or you can jot down the details on paper and then we will talk about it. You and I will go back and forth and we will figure out how to get you more money. And as I said before, we get people between $5,500 and $143,000 more through our negotiation tactics. So I will not get on the phone and negotiate on your behalf. I would love to, but the recruiters at Google and Netflix and Facebook won't really let me do that. But I will equip you with all the insights, all the strategies so that you are prepared, and we will empower you with those conversations so that you will get more money and get paid what you deserve. So in summary, there's lots of great stuff here. Some of the great features that you will receive is you get monthly personalized coaching with me. You get weekly group coaching. You get lifetime access to the job acquisition online course. You get 6 months of email support. You get intros and access to the Kadima network. You get resume reviews, LinkedIn reviews, tell me about yourself narrative reviews. We will help you develop your star stories. Again, those are required for behavioral-based interviews. We will provide mock interview support and real interview feedback. And we provide negotiation services. That is all features of the program that are included. But who cares about features? It's all about benefits. What does this mean for you? You will gain confidence. You will gain a community and network of other people that will support you. You will get a great job. You will get that great job quickly. On average, it's taking us 114 days to get people great jobs, and you will earn lots more money. Right now, people are averaging getting $109,000 more after working with Kadima. So we at Kadima have built arguably the world's best career accelerator, one that gets you a better job quickly, confidently, and with lots more money. We provide you with all the tools, insider insights, expertise, and unfettered support to empower you to achieve your goal. However, this is not a get-rich-quick scheme, and it's not cheap. It will take 2 investments on your part. Number 1, you need to dedicate the time. If you're not prepared to dedicate at least 10 hours per week on your own career, don't even bother applying. This is not a lottery ticket you buy at a local bodega for a few dollars and instantly claim one of those $296,000 prizes from Google. In addition to the time, this will cost you money. My time is valuable, and I only take 10 clients per month to ensure I provide you with the customized support that you need. So in return for me investing my time, my resources, my connections, my insight, my expert negotiation skills, and my proven track record, you must invest something on the financial side. And that cost is $11,997. And yeah, that's a big chunk of change for pretty much everyone that I know. Therefore, we do offer 3 different flexible payment plans to make sure that it fits your financial constraints. So if you aren't ready to invest the time and money in your career right now, no worries. Hang around till the end where I'm going to share a few more goodies with you. But if you are ready to invest both the time and money, here's what you need to do next. So there's 3 steps you need to do if you're interested in personalized coaching with me as part of the Kadima program. 1, you need to apply to Kadima's Career Acceleration Program. You can go to kadimacareers.com/apply or scan the QR code. There's a series of questions. They're thoughtfully asked. We read every application. I will review your application personally and tell you your next steps within 2 business days. And if you're accepted in the program, I'll schedule an interview with you ASAP. And I call this an interview because I ask you a couple of questions, but more of this is for you to ask me any remaining questions. And I insist on meeting with everybody that joins the program, just like I did during my time at Google when I was hiring large teams there. I did not delegate that to other people. It's important that I know that you're the right fit, have the right mindset, have the right motivation, and the right time commitment to successfully complete this program. And the reason why I care so much about this and why I am so diligent about selecting the right candidates is we offer the Kadima double guarantee. And what that double guarantee is, all of our products always come with a 30-day, what I call a questions asked guarantee. So you can get your money back within 30 days, but I do ask you 2 questions. One question is, why do you want your money back? I want to know. Secondly, what can we do better? I want to improve. If you answer those 2 questions, we will give you your money back. Not happily give you your money back because we're upset that we disappointed you, but we will give you your money back. Very few people have had to use that, but we do offer that. Secondly, we offer an unprecedented better job guarantee. So we guarantee that you will get a better job within 6 months of working with us. If you don't, you can either request your money back or you can work with us indefinitely until you do succeed in getting that better job. There's a caveat though to this guarantee. You must follow our proven system. We're there to support you and hold you accountable, but you must do the work. So you get those 2 guarantees with our program. Before I finish this up and give away some swag, which by the way, for those at home that don't know what the acronym SWAG means, it means stuff we all get. Just a little fun fact there. Let me answer a few FAQs. What if you get a job sooner than 6 months? Awesome. That's great. We've gotten people jobs as quickly as 1.2 months. If you get that job, we immediately transition you to our K90 program, how to hit the ground running in your first 90 days at that new company, how to get your feet under you, how to build your rapport with your manager, how to build relationships with your cross-functional stakeholders, how to think about the benefits there, and how to make that good first impression that will set you up for long-term success. That's what happens if you get a job within 6 months. Next question we get, what if I don't get a job in 6 months? We are so confident that you will get a job in 6 months that we are guaranteeing that you will get that better job within 6 months. And if you follow our proven system and you do not get that job within 6 months, we will either give your money back if you want your money back, or you can work with us indefinitely until you get that great job. Third frequently asked question, what about all these layoffs? Yeah, the economy is tough. I showed you the slide a little bit before with some of that information. There's nothing you can do about it. The economy goes up and it goes down. It goes up and it goes down. That just happens. But there are lots of jobs open right now. The top 100 companies that we monitor at Kadima currently have over 290,000 jobs available right now. The median number of jobs available at those companies is over 500. So there's still lots of jobs open. And if you're not looking, you have to realize that you are still at risk in your current company because, as we talked about before, employee at will means that you can get fired at will. So it always behooves you to be looking regardless of what the economic situation is. Fourth, what if a friend or partner wants to join Kadima with me? Awesome. We love referrals and we give a very generous referral bonus. Just ask me about that and we will set you up and your friend or partner up with a nice referral bonus that makes it worth both your while. 5, what if I'm just peddling snake oil? First off, that would piss the F out of me because I so hate hypocrisy and saying one thing and not doing something is so against what is ingrained in me personally that will not happen. But if you don't know me, you don't like me, you don't trust me, you have that money back guarantee. If you don't see that I'm delivering on the goods within 30 days, you get your money back. And if we're not getting you that great job within 6 months, you can get your money back. So if I was selling snake oil, I don't think I'd be offering those guarantees. And the last question, what if I can't invest the money right now? This program is a very high touch program, very dedicated resource to your success. It costs a lot of money. However, we do offer 3 different payment plans. The lowest payment plan starts at $1,997 per month. So that's going to be the lowest payment plan. If that is out of your realm of ability to pay right now, that's okay. We will give you some free information further here, but this is a high cost, high touch program that is intended for a very small group of individuals that get direct and unfettered access to me. So as I promised, there is going to be swag. There is going to be stuff that everybody gets, whether you decide to apply or not. And that swag is follow me on LinkedIn. I give lots of free tips every day. I post every day. Most of it is entertaining, educational, or both. So check that out. Secondly, we have an awesome podcast. It's called the Sick Career Podcast. I did this great interview that is posted here with an actual Amazon bar raiser. Check that out. You can go to sickpodcast.com. Check out our episodes. Third, we put a lot of great educational content out on YouTube. Check out our YouTube channel. You can check out about how we dig into actual offer letters from Google. We show you how best to leverage LinkedIn for your job search. We have interviews and access to great insights that you won't get elsewhere. So follow our YouTube channel. So that's some good free information if you don't want to apply for KCAP. So Once again, please only apply if you're ready to invest the time and money in owning your career. And if so, your next step, go to kadimacareers.com/apply or scan that QR code, get that application in. I will review your application within 48 hours and I will get back to you quite quickly. And I will let you know if you're a good fit for the program, or if not, we'll give you some other opportunities and some other information about how to help grow your career. So thank you so much for listening to this. I hope that you learned how to own your career, how to accelerate your career. And once again, the job acquisition, the career acceleration is learnable. So whether you want to work with me or just learn from me, please take this information and absorb it, apply it. And if you don't work with me, follow up with me. Let me know how things are going. I love to hear great success stories from people. But if you are interested, you do have the time, you do have the money, you are ready to invest. I have 10 spots open each month. So get your application in and we'll be in touch soon. Thanks a lot. If you still need more proof to understand how we help you get great jobs at the world's best tech companies, listen to what some of my recent clients had to say.
Hello, my name is Brittany Williams, and I've been working with Alan in the Kadima program now since about September of 2021. Before I joined Kadima, I was working at a company called Georgia Pacific, and while it was a bump in pay from my previous role, it still wasn't necessarily what I was looking for in terms of just overall growth opportunities, overall compensation, like outside of just base salary pay, and as well as opportunities to kind of have more of a leadership role, just kind of based on my past experience and kind of where I was in my career. I knew that I had imposter syndrome for some time, but going through this program really made me understand kind of like how deep-seated it was. I think there are lots of some of the steps in the Kadima program can definitely highlight some of those issues or some of those challenges that you may already be struggling with and just not necessarily seeing it as that. I think that having to kind of go through this 6-step program, having to do those informational interviews, having to build a network and build those connections that can really help you get your next opportunity, especially in tech. Working with Alan, I actually was able to land at a tech company, virtual reality fitness app company, and that was I started working with him in September. I got my offer in January of 2022. I think that Alan definitely helped me in terms of kind of what the focus should be for my interviews, how I should set up my narrative, also how I should respond to certain questions, what things I should bring up, what things I maybe shouldn't bring up, for instance. Definitely say that it's worth it. It's definitely beneficial on the opportunity to really, take that next step and experience the next level of your career.
So working with Alan has definitely been one of the most important decisions that I made this year. So I actually met Alan through a friend of mine who worked at Google, but I had expressed a desire that I wanted to work in a tech firm. I knew I had a lot to offer, but I had no idea where to start. But there were a few reasons that made me decide to work with him. So other than the fact that he was recommended to me by someone who I trust and respect, but secondly, the fact that it is his desire and mission to help people of color break into the technology industry. But the third reason why is because, he's worked at, a number of different tech firms. And so he's able to give real advice, realistic insight on what it looks like, what it means to work in tech, and having that person who continue to keep me motivated and to continue to uplift me and make sure that I don't lose sight of the goal was very helpful for me. He's always continued to be very vulnerable. He shared some of his rejections. He shared some of the trials that he's experienced in his career. And to be able to see, where he is today, it helps me to be motivated by that. But one of the most important things that was very helpful for me was Alan's honesty. We had a goal and we had to get there. And if he had to give me difficult feedback, he did it and he had no problem doing it. It helped me to grow super fast. It helped me to, get my feedback on the gas and it kept me going. I'm excited to see more Kadima alumni go through the process. But after working with Alan, I got a chance to now work at a FANG company, or at least I got an offer getting ready to start. And so I'm just super excited to see him help others to do the same.
After an extensive period on the job market, I grew frustrated and disheartened by the lack of response I was receiving from both hiring managers and the recruiters. I reached out to a colleague of mine who in turn introduced me to Alan, a career coach at Kadima. And in working with Alan, he really took the time to understand my unique background and develop a custom program that aligned perfectly with my career goals. In just a few short weeks of working with Kadima, I felt more confident and better prepared to adjust to any unanticipated interview questions. Additionally, the team at Kadima also helped me to realize my key strengths, which in turn allowed me to articulate my career accomplishments in a much more personable way. Overall, the quality of my interviews has improved significantly. In fact, I'm happy to report that I recently accepted a job offer from a major tech company, and I can attribute the success that accomplishment to the good folks at Kadima. So thank you guys. I appreciate and enjoyed working with you.
So once again, go to kadimacareers.com/apply or scan that QR code, get that application in. I will review your application within 48 hours and I will get back to you quite quickly. So it's all up to you. You own your career. We at Kadima accelerate it.